Want to thank you all for joining me on this side of the Facebook life. Getting trying to move forward to kind of the public page. So if you are like on, and you're looking for me on the private page and things, we're gonna get that video up there. I'm gonna share that quite soon. But I just want to thank you so much for being in this space with me and look, as growth happens, right? We in some way got to grow together. And so I definitely don't want to leave nobody in that space. I want to bring some folk over, and I'm so grateful to have you this evening. So this week starts with me. As we continue this series of this series regarding, of course, Black love is Black wealth, and in the presence of great Black minds, bodies, and souls. This work has been amazing. So grateful. Like I said, we'll be having next week Mandisa Thomas from uh, Non-Black Believers. We'll also be having Christian Hayden, one of our emerging leaders within the American Ethical Union, Ethical Culture, and we'll also be having, of course, one of many favorites within the humanist community, Dr. Anthony Pinn, and his incredible work. And one of the things that I want to say is that this show, if you are not familiar with the kind of the vibe that we're throwing and you're new to this environment, welcome to this space. This is a space of shared wisdoms, shared epistemologies, shared intellects, shared fears and challenges. Trust me, we will lean into some spaces of discomfort. We will lean into some new aspects of healing. We will lean into new aspects of truth and also reconciliation, right? But the goal is, right, not only to just lean into our discomfort, but figure out how we get behind that courageous speech by also doing some courageous listening. So I'm very excited to have all of you in the midst, in the presence. It is absolutely exciting. Do me a favor if you haven't, share this right now as we get ready to move forward for the rest of the show. And I want to also, once again, as we do this work and continue to refine this work, I just want to give a huge shout out to Justice, working all the way in Minneapolis. This show, of course, has been supported by the First Unitarian Society, as well as heavily endorsed by the Susquehanna Valley Ethical Society, where I actually render service and support. And so I'm really, really grateful for the team and those who have been a huge support to my work. And yeah, this is exciting. I don't even know where to begin. It's so exciting. So let's get started, right? The topic that has kind of been brewing with me lately is the conversation around. Oftentimes, when I talk to many colleagues, friends, congregants who are often in the space that I'm in regarding free thinking, regarding intellectual thought, and so on and so forth. One of the things that comes up is, like, where is this movement going? What is this movement, if not just a movement at all, right? It's we seek to engage, compassion, uh, democracy, and justice, and all of these frameworks, but we've got to hold people in a very particular truth, and we've got to be able to honor them within their integrity, within their unique makeup, allowing for them to be them and not become so monolithic. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that for myself, like, if anybody asks me where to find me, what do you do other than on Tuesday? It's like, what am I doing? Well, I will say in some ways, yeah, I'm studying, I'm doing my doctoral work, and I'm at the same time doing my artwork, and at the same time working on something else and working with a congregation. But one of the most beautiful things to do is to sit with people in their presence, right? Sit with them in their presence and enjoy their own emotional, intellectual capacity to be in the same space and have shared space together. That is what I was, when I first started this show, that is what really excited me because we became freedom folk, folk that didn't, weren't really necessarily resting in particular one or two or, just one or two spots. We rested in three and four, and we found ourselves in many other spaces. And so this was a moment to like bring us together as freedom folks. So when you hear that term freedom folks, it's a very true statement for me about what freedom folks and how freedom folks works. Because freedom folks is just what it is, right? It is the arrival to understanding what it means to be free, what it means to hold space, what it means to carve out space. What, as I said last week, right? Being aware of who you're in the trenches with, right? It is all of those things. And, I come to particularly free thought in a very unique way. I come to humanism in a very unique way. I come to also, right, a lot of these frameworks that seem in many ways to play with, non-theism and at the same time theism. People are like, well, you're like non-theistic, theistic, and you're like, and it's like, it's all these moving parts. And I'm a mover because I'm free and I'm a free former. And so I wanted to hold that space because I want to honor those who are free formers, who don't rest in the binaries, who don't rest in the, instead of, who actually rest in the, I am me, right? The I am me, the who I am, the constant exploration and the development and the evolution of self, the truth of how we come to being. And one of the things that comes up to me as I kind of start this journey with you is, my work and this work as we constantly move forward throughout the month, you'll see that it's a revolutionary act to be a freedom folk, to be a part of a collective of thinkers who want to be free, who are seeking to even embody it and put it into practice. Audre Lorde reminds us that the white fathers told us, I think, therefore I am. Audre Lorde, a queer poet, warrior. I need you to catch that. Warrior. I'm gonna say that again. Warrior. Right? Poet reminds us that the white fathers told us, as she refers to Descartes, I think, therefore I am. The Black mother within each of us, the poet, whispers in our dreams, I feel, therefore I am free. I am free. I feel, therefore I am free. A lot of times coming to this moment is about the feeling for me. It is about where Black Future really rests. Black Future rests, as I honor her, in the feeling to be alive, the feeling to embrace your aliveness, the feeling to hold it and know that it is in constant struggle with society, to know that freedom. And see, this is the thing about this month, particularly. This month, we oftentimes will run and we will go find our images to put together, to collage our stories about historical, figures that we need to know. And I often sit and wonder, what good is it to begin to collage these images, to begin to tell these stories right now, to rush them in this month? And as I sit with that, the feeling of agency oftentimes hits many of the spaces that I'm in. But one of the things that hits most and hits hard is our ability to actually understand that the stories that we are telling of these figures are actually stories of liberation and stories of freedom, and that the only way to actually engage this month, you've got to want to be invested in the stories of freedom, and also those, yes, my white counterparts, my friends and my colleagues, some of those that really seek to do this justice work. You've got to want to step in and realize that the most one who needs the freedom as well is the one who is also an oppressor. After just seeing these riots, after just seeing all of the things that just happened in the 4 years, after looking at the Republican Party and some of its stale behavior, you have to think, and after kind of even seeing right now what the Democratic Party is doing to even talk about 14 to 600, we've got to begin to look at some of the fact that liberation is no longer an option. Freedom is no longer an option. We've got to want to embody and want that freedom enough for ourselves. And most of my white friends, I will tell you, you will need that freedom and those stories of freedom to remind you of how many ways your ancestors and those before you set up a system to in many ways oppress you. That in many ways you can't, let's have a moment. You can't assume the position of actually really achieving and talking about freedom and justice because you have not been free. You can't assume the position of talking about right relationship and healing and reconciliation until you do that work first. The system, as I sat recently in a meeting regarding frameworks around pedagogy, one of the things that hit me hard was that there was so much red tape that the institution and the structure and the policies that were set up held no space for freedom. I feel, therefore I am free. I don't need science to do that work. Don't get me wrong. I hear you. Oh, I threw up the S word. Look, I don't need science to do any testimonies about why I need to be free. I don't need you to politicize my freedom. I got enough ancestors to know what freedom will do, and I know James Baldwin would tell me just like this: the artists are here to disturb the peace. Right? I came here to disturb the peace because I actually want to be free beyond just legalities and policies. I want to be free. I want to be free to a point, in the words of Dr. Howard Thurman, the mentor of Dr. King, who said, I want to be me without making it uncomfortable for you to be you. I want to be radical. I want to be able to embrace every part of myself as free. And so where we have to ask the question, where does our freedom rest? Where does our freedom rest? Freedom is attached. It's attached to vulnerability. It holds to vulnerability. Freedom holds to vulnerability. So that, look, check this, that it can also remain brave and authentic through the process. Through the process of showing up. Through the process of having to equip itself to actually have not only just intellectual information, but embodied information. It is the feeling of the dance that came from the ancestors. It is the feeling of the sound in the song that causes us to move. It is the ability to clap our hands regardless if anything is going on or not. It is the ability to stomp our feet and be able to feel like we are soaring and know that everything is well with our soul. There is tension I get in some of the things that I'm talking about, and the reason why this month is set up the way that it is, and the reason why I had to talk about this most of all was because you will never be free. And one of my written statements in my dissertation, I say you can never achieve freedom until you realize how you occupy space and time. To occupy and understand how you occupy space and time, and to know how you can, in many ways, suspend it and break it, says everything. That is the disruption. That is the disruption of capitalism when it becomes self-care. The disruption of as self-care is freedom. The moment that you decide to disrupt that, the moment that you decide to disrupt, not to reach for any more of what just the government is offering you, but decide to seek out your own happiness and to reach in your own self and also look at others so that they may achieve the same thing. The moment that you decide that you're not the only one in the room who's also being oppressed, that's tough, I know, but that you're not the only one in the room. You got some twins in here called struggle. Freedom, folks, is not an attempt to make you feel like you are free. It's an attempt of becoming free, because that's a daily process. It's a daily process. And so, what is Sankofa? Why do I use that? I don't want a history only. I want a future. My freedom is attached not only to vulnerability, but to my future. It is that I must go to and aspire to and shape when it has no shape. It is the ability to know that I can create the moment in which freedom speaks to me. It is the moment where justice has my name on it. It is the moment in which peace is embodied by everything that I particularly understand. And knowing that I can learn more is the ability to approach my future. It is better that we speak, knowing that we were never meant to survive. That is what Audre Lorde reminds us in her poem, A Litany of Survival. There is no ethic for survival. There is no ethic for anyone who is looking to embody their freedom. There is no guarantee that you will live to see today or tomorrow based off of the way that this system is working. You may have your home today, you could have it, you will not have it tomorrow. The way that our system is set up, it is set up in many ways to cause you to feel and to many ways taint how you feel so that you don't feel free. Sankofa is about organizing time and space to be able to go back, which is what the word means, and get it. You go back and you bring it forward. You bring it forward not only to the present, but you carry it into your future. It is the information of going back and knowing what was there before, knowing what your ancestors have in many ways set before you, and taking that information and bringing it forward. Bringing their vision, bringing their ideas, and becoming their wildest dream. You You, 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 and you are your ancestors' wildest dreams. You might be your ancestors' nightmare, depending on how much you've changed and transformed and made it through some of the things that they would have never expected for you to engage with. But you did anyway. It is there. Freedom and freedom folk. Rest. As I said in this previous interfaith conversation, create change. I made it very clear that by Western standards, I am a human. But my transatlantic ancestors, my soldiers, the ones who fought and sought freedom from kind of colonizers and enslavers, call me to liberation. Are your ancestors, are your stories rooted in liberation? If so, how will you embody the liberation, collective liberation, this month as you reach back and you go and get it? How will you share it and distinguish those unique freedoms that make you truly who you are, that shape not only who you are today, but your thinking, your moving, your being, and better yet, all of how you feel about yourself as being empowered, strong, and carrying through it all. Let's kick that music, because I know how it's vital. It's gotta be. That's why we're freedom. So as this month carries out, join me as we witness several people who come to the moment of freedom, free thinking within their mind, their body. So great to have all of you. Thank you so much. If you haven't yet, share this. I appreciate it. I thank you so much. We are doing some new things. I hope this technology works out. It is so good to see all the comments and everything. Good to see you, Elise. Good to see you. Go be free. Hey, Hugh. Yes, indeed. We are leaning into feelings through the dark months of the winter. Come on.
Stop drama, don't fizz me. Won't stay like this. Gonna get up, grind it till I've made it. No use being cheated. So what you feeling like? Get up, turn on the light, time to make it right. This is your new life. Come on, let's go. Change your whole headspace. Your past is not today, it is not too late. Find a mirror place, and then you say, hey, sexy good stuff. You want way more than enough, so go out.
You play sexy good stuff. Enjoy your freedom, embody it, practice it, live it, be it, create it. Whatever it is, it's your freedom. Don't lose sight of it. Don't let go of it. You owe it to yourself. Appreciate you. Appreciate your magic in the world. Appreciate your love in the world. But most of all,
I appreciate when you show up with your freedom in the world. You deserve it. Have a wonderful night.